Okay.
Miranda Lloyd is not available.
Excuse me, can anybody hear me?
Hey, Alex, it's Mike Seamus. I can hear you, but I don't think I'm getting no audio from the meeting. Same for you?
It looks Miss Crowfoot is on mute. She has her microphone muted. So
I
depending
just
on who's
texted her.
speaking right now, yeah, it looks like their microphone is muted.
Representative, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. We'll resume. Thank you.
Good to go. All right, so $6.8 billion investment in workforce education since 2019. And as you can see from the chart, it's a little bit of an eye chart at this distance, but we're talking 97 new apprenticeship programs for a total of 356 programs across the state, the establishment of the Get There Faster program to create more workforce and education opportunities, an increase in post-secondary CTE enrollment by 44%, which is 380,000 students currently enrolled. On the bottom left of the infographic, you'll see an acceleration in rapid credentials from 74,000 in fiscal year 1920 to 93,000 in 21-22. Very excited to see where those numbers go in the subsequent years from this chart. And then on the bottom right, you can see there's been record enrollment in CTE high school programs and from things to CDL training. There's even great numbers for welding, those real skills that are required to make Florida's economy run from its backbone And there are over 17,000 active apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship program or individuals in those programs, and it's the highest in state history. So it's really a testament to the work that this body has done, the leadership of the governor, the leadership of the legislature, and it calls to the need across the state and the fact that people are hungry for those rapid credentials to get them into the workforce faster, so that they can provide for their families, and it drives the economy of Florida. So, and I do want to say thank you to the team for building this infographic. It's a great snapshot. It's not everything that's been done or everything that's going on, but it's a good snapshot. Does anyone have any questions on the infographic? Okay. All right, so we will now move to a quick update on the reports that the Florida Talent Development Council is required to produce. Dr. Mark Barrett from the Reach Office will report on the 2023 Nursing Trends Report. Mark, you are recognized, sir.
Good morning. Once again, my name is Mark Baird, Reach Office, and the pleasure to be here. Thank you, Chair Clark, and members of the council. And I'm here to draw your attention to the Nursing Education Trends Report that you have in your packet, and it's also available on the council's website, available to the public for their reading pleasure. Again, I'd like to take the time to thank the interagency team that is really does the heavy lifting of putting this report together. And this requires a customized survey of institutions that above and beyond the standard data collection that's have to do with. This is specifically Department of Education's Division of Career and Adult Education, Division of Board of Colleges, Council for Independent Education, the Board of Governors, State University System, and independent colleges and universities of Florida. And we really approach this like a team effort, and we sort of put it together. But without their efforts, there would be no report. So thanks to the whole team. And we have against the third edition of this report. And this was published in November of last year. And there were some couple new features I want to draw your attention to. And in this report, we broke out the CIE, Council for Independent Education data, sort of separated that out from the rest because of the special challenges that they have in collecting their data and constructing a coherent 10-year time series of data. And we can talk about, if you have any questions about that, we can talk about that later. But since it's a very fluid environment with entries and exits throughout the 10-year period compared to the other sectors, which are stable across those 10 years. And that's basically the challenge. There have been a couple of developments which we think are going to and hope are going to improve the data collection from CIE institutions. In 2023, there was legislation passed that institutes stronger reporting and accountability requirements for CIE and its institutions. And also the new requirement that institutions must obtain institutional accreditation before standing up a nursing program and starting to enroll nursing students. So we think that's an extra sort of gate, a quality measure that is going to yield benefits more so on the not so much on the collection of the data, but the sort of the quality of the numbers that are produced. So we also added toward the end of the report, there's information about implementation of the line pipeline program, which you find interesting. And then just to sort of highlight the main takeaways, this is a descriptive report. It's descriptive research. So we're really not attributing any, there's sort of cause and effect here. This really, and like any piece of descriptive research, it really is going to generate more questions than answers, but, you know, I think the first phase of expanding our knowledge is knowing what questions to ask. So hopefully this will inspire some thought and questions about what you see in the report. In general, not surprisingly, you see a persistent and growing gap between applications and acceptances over the 10 years. But interestingly, that gap is much more pronounced between all applications and acceptances when you look at qualified applicants. We're going to get a loaded term in a second, but qualified applicants and acceptances, that gap is much lower. So I think that a question there is what is going on? Have the because of restrictions on the number of slots available, on the ability to expand programs, have admission requirements and up over those years that we've got a lot to do for non-qualified applicants. You have, just because of the overall sort of zeitgeist of like everybody hears about in the media, you know, there's a nursing shortage, nursing. And so you have just more people pouring in to, you know, to try to apply for these programs, but they're not meeting, you know, prerequisites. I think maybe it's sort of a combination of those two things. And, you know, you see that among the public institutions, I'd say there's not a lot of elasticity in terms of the ability to sort of ramp up to meet demand. And this, while this is not addressed specifically in this report, we know there are challenges in terms of finding qualified faculty to teach in these programs. You know, there may be issues also with, you know, facilities and space and that kind of thing. So, you know, we know there's some limitations that are being addressed through policy, but we don't necessarily see that in the data here because this is a historical look. It'll be interesting to see as we move along the effects of these policies moving forward. And one area that is more elastic in terms of its ability to ramp up supply are the private for-profit institutions in under the top of education. You're not going to move in, but you also have programs that shut down as well. So there's a bit of churn as you move along. But in terms of new programs, that's an area that is much more dynamic. And the hope is that with some, you know, improved, enhanced accountability measures, we're going to address the limitations that are in that sector as well as they ramp up their ability to take in more nursing students. You see here, there are dips in the number of applications. In-class pass rates have a little dip, I think, across almost all the sectors. In the most recent year, I should say, 2021-22. Also, I think the retention and graduation rates dipped a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see as we move forward with the next iteration whether that is possibly a pandemic effect, and you know, whether it's the blip or a trend. So that's pretty much the highlights. What I want to try and light on for you, and that you have questions that you can answer them.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions in the nursing report? Excellent. Thank you very much. Now we're going to hear from Kim Bain of the Reach Office to discuss findings and recommendations of the work-based learning report. Kim, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to present this report to you all on behalf of the Talent Development Council. So in our most recent September 2023 Talent Development Council meeting, we took time to discuss with our agency and industry partners what work-based learning is and it's important in the talent development sector. We use that information as a launching point in our research into work-based learning to help identify barriers and best practices in the facilitation of work-based learning opportunities for middle and high school students. We research best practices and successes in other states and use this information to come up with recommendations for the state of Florida. As a reminder, work-based learning is firsthand work that develops relationships with industry professionals and is classroom integrated. Work-based learning helps meet industry demand for a more skilled workforce by providing opportunities for students to receive training, learn skills, and gain experience. It allows for student engagement and to reflect on their learning. Work-based learning is a spectrum that involves career exploration, career exposure, career engagement, and career experience. The types of work-based learning most commonly offered in middle and high schools include career exploration activities such as career fairs, career interest assessments, and mock interviews. Florida's career planning and work-based learning system, affectionately known as Zello, has multiple career assessments that students can complete to learn about in-demand jobs right here in Florida that they may not have otherwise considered. This platform is being used throughout Florida's public schools. Work-based learning also includes career exposure, which can be in the form of workplace tours, externships, job shadowing, and mentoring. A good example of workplace touring is found in Hillsborough County. The Hillsborough County School District participates in Florida Construction Career Days hosted by Suncoast Utility Contractors Association, the Florida Department of Transportation, and the Florida Transportation Builders Association, and numerous other businesses. Students are bused to the local fairgrounds and receive educational presentations as well as opportunities to use heavy construction machinery like a backhoe in a supervised and safe setting. At high school and post-secondary level, work-based learning can take on more career engagement with activities such as mentored industry projects, service learning, or running a school-based enterprise. A great example of this was in 2021, Bellevue High School in Marion County opened a branch of ViStar Credit Union on campus, which is managed and staffed by students under the supervision of the school's academy instructors. Participating students gain firsthand experience with financial services such as loans, credit cards, budget, and investment accounts. Work-based learning in its best form provides for career experience with cooperative education, on-the-job training, internships, pre-apprenticeships, and even registered apprenticeships. Florida currently has 60 pre-apprenticeship programs, of which 39 are exclusively designed for youth, with occupations ranging from surgical technologist to industrial manufacturing technician. Now, while Florida law doesn't require students to complete work-based learning to graduate high school or to be promoted from middle to high school, legislation has been enacted to help strengthen Florida students' opportunities for work-based learning. SB 240, recently passed in 2023, made widespread changes to Florida law to provide awareness and access to work-based learning for middle and high school students. First, the legislation requires each district school board to provide all students enrolled in grades 9 through 12 with access to at least one work-based learning opportunity before graduation. Beginning in the 2023 to 2024 school year, each school district must adopt policies and procedures to require each high school to host an annual career fair during the school year and establish a process to provide students in grades 11 and 12 the opportunity to meet or interview with potential employers during the career fair. The newly signed HB 917 further strengthens the career fair requirements by allowing industry representatives to be included in the process. Now, there are inherent changes to work-based learning, and many Florida school districts are addressing those challenges in creative ways. Here are a few of those highlights. Transportation. State funding for public school transportation under Section 1011.68 Florida statutes does not include transportation to work sites for work-based learning. Now, while many school districts cover transportation expenses for getting students to work sites with local dollars, this can be a hardship in rural and economically disadvantaged areas. One way to address this challenge is to provide on-campus work-based learning opportunities. For example, Broward County School District hires students to complete paid work on school campuses related to preparing food in the cafeteria, servicing school HVAC systems, and providing audiovisual services. St. Lucie County Public Schools integrates virtual reality into their career and technical education programs for auto repair, medical anatomy, and 3D modeling for manufacturing. Another creative approach to challenges that we've identified is related to professional and employer organizations. Employers are often reluctant to offer work-based learning opportunities to students because of liability concerns and paperwork burdens. Small businesses especially may not have the staff, training, or resources to handle the temporary employment of students. One way to encourage work-based learning is through the use of professional employer organizations, also known as PEOs. A small but growing number of school districts in Florida, including Orange County School District and Broward County School District, contract with a PEO to serve as the employer of record and provide human resource services. Outsourcing paperwork and technical knowledge to a PEO can make offering a work-based learning opportunity more streamlined for employers and allow them to focus on the skill development and productivity of the student. Finally, class time limitations. Students have a finite number of class periods and school hours, and work-based learning often gets overshadowed by other legitimate graduation, remediation, enrichment, and acceleration needs. Work-based learning programs offered at alternate times, such as after school or during the summer, may help alleviate this challenge. In our research for this report, we learned that the data collection for work-based learning is difficult due to the fact that it is inherently locally driven and not required to be tracked by school districts. However, the Florida Department of Education has initiated tracking of work-based learning enrollment, as well as calculating the percent of students that have completed a work-based learning course by the time of graduation. In the 2021 to 2022 school years, over 69,000 students in Florida completed a work-based learning course. There's significant work-based learning course preparation variability in school districts, as well as the schools specifically. During the 2021 to 2022 school year, some Florida County school districts had as much as 81% of their students complete a work-based learning course before the time of graduation, while other counties had as little as 3% completion. When looking at other states, we learned that those who were having success with work-based learning all seem to be data-driven. The collection of meaningful data is paramount to addressing challenges at a local and state levels and to ensure high-quality work-based learning opportunities are readily available to all Florida middle and high school students. Data-driven policy is key to ensuring Florida achieves the mission of being #1 state for workforce education by 2030. This is why one of the recommendations made in this report is to require school districts to report data on work-based learning opportunities provided to students to the Florida Department of Education. Lacking or inconsistent data makes it challenging to address and access the effectiveness of work-based learning opportunities that are currently required to be provided to students. Additional recommendations to strengthen work-based learning for middle and high school students include creating an advisory panel to inform middle and high school work-based learning. The importance of collaboration between education and industry to grow meaningful work-based learning opportunities for students cannot be overstated. Creating an advisory group at the state, regional, or even local level will ensure the focus remains on improving these experiences for Florida students and create a space for problem solving. The second recommendation is requiring Florida school districts to review high school bell schedules to more closely align with local college course offerings. This practice has been found to be successful in other states and would allow students to access more work-based learning opportunities. Finally, the final recommendation is to require parents and guardians to acknowledge receipt of a student's academic and career plan and an opportunity to review courses for which career and academic planning may be embedded. While students are being provided valuable information around their academic and career plan, ensuring that parents and guardians are a part of that conversation is vital. SB 240 provides for greater parental notification of career pathway options. However, ensuring that parents and guardians are engaged in that and in the review of the child's plan is a great potential next step. And that is the conclusion of our report.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kim. Are there any questions? Hearing none, let's move into providing council members an opportunity to share ongoing work or accomplishments of their organizations that might be of interest to the whole council. First up, Adrian Johnson, PareerSource Florida. Adrian.
So much, Chair. Morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here with you. I'll start with just a very quick overview of PareerSource Florida, because I think most of you are aware of what we do, but just in case. We are the state workforce policy and investment board. Our main goals and priorities are to provide policies and resources to the local employee development board or the system across the state to make sure that they are able to provide services to both businesses and job seekers. So we have 24 local workforce development board. But we operate over 100 career centers where services are actually provided to individuals and businesses. And that's important to know, that's really where the services are provided, that they're in the community, it's local for a reason. And the focus that they have is really on individuals with barriers to employment. So making sure that if somebody has a challenge entering into the labor force, that we have resources there to wrap around them and make sure that they can get the training that they need in order to achieve economic self-sufficiency. One of the things that they do serve businesses as well, and they do that directly. They can help businesses with their hiring needs. So job postings, helping them understand where their talent pipeline can come from. But they also do it a little bit more indirectly by convening business and education together at the local levels to make sure that our local community is aligned, and that the talent pipeline is being developed and future focused. So they really serve as conveners as well. For the overall network, we have a few major initiatives that we've been focused on this past year. One of them is the Workforce System Transformation Plan. There are kind of three components to the Workforce System Transformation Plan, and I'll just go through them briefly, but happy to answer any questions about them. So I mentioned we have 24 local workforce boards in our state. Due to the reach out, there was a call for us to reduce the number of local workforce boards. And so we did an extensive study. We spoke with over 700 stakeholders across the state, looked at a variety of data, including labor market information, commuting patterns, things like that. And came to a recommendation for 21 local workforce boards. So we are consolidating a few of the areas across the state. We are also realigning some of the areas as well. I won't go through all of the different areas that are impacted by this, but I'll give a couple of examples. So just in this region, which is First Worth Capital Region, Tractor County is moving from the neighboring local board and going to this region. So that's one example of the shifting that's happening. Another example is in the Tampa area, and Nellis. They each have their own separate board, and right now they are consolidating and have a joint workforce board. So that's been a huge endeavor, and the goal of that is really to make sure that we are aligned with the local labor market, with businesses and the communities across the state. And to continue to focus on accountability and transparency in the system. Inherently, it makes it a little bit easier to manage and understand what's happening in fewer areas than it does. So that is a process that will effectively complete the end of this fiscal year. So we're targeting June 30th is when we are going to transition to 21 boards. So new fiscal year, we'll have 21. So the next pillar is system-wide improvement. So while we are talking to all those stakeholders across the state, we recognize that there are many ways that we can enhance and improve the system. It's not just a reduction in the number of boards. There are things that we can do to increase efficiency at the state level through policy, through procurements, and standardized templates for contracts and things like that. So we have also been focusing on this pillar of system-wide improvements. That's one that while we have made there's some milestones that we've achieved this year, mostly policy oriented, and we have a lot of opportunities to continue that next year. So that's really going to drive a lot of the activities that we continue to do next year. Again, the goal is about finding efficiencies and ways to save money so that more money is going to services across the network and not on administrative programs. The final pillar of the transformation plan is regional planning. And this one, our goal this year was to have two new regional planning areas established by the end of this fiscal year. And we do have those. So the local boards in the Panhandle are coming together and forming one of our first regional planning areas. And then we have the St. Lucie, Martin, and then Palm Beach counties coming together to form the second regional planning area. And this is something, it's a concept under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. It's a federal legislation guidance that we do in the system. That really is encouraging local boards to come together, again, looking for administrative efficiencies, alignment with the partners. And so we found that this was another way that we can encourage local boards to minimize duplication, make it easier for businesses in particular to access their services and to work with them. And so we're really excited about the opportunity this presents to align our local boards, even though so that we're lining up together. So we will have two by the end of this year. We're working right now to identify the next two that we'll focus on early in the next fiscal year. and then developing the map of what this future state is going to look like with regional planning areas. So that's workforce system transformation. We also this year have transitioned the workforce system to a combined plan, which probably doesn't sound very exciting. We are currently under a unified plan, which sounds also very similar to a combined plan. But essentially what we're doing here, every state has to submit a plan, either a unified or combined plan to U.S. Department of Labor. And the unified plan is really your core partners who have to come together, develop that plan together. The combined plan expands it out to additional partners. So they're partners that we work with all the time, but we're really codifying the work that we do together, particularly through the implementation of the REACH Act. There's a lot of great synergy happening with the workforce system and our different partners, including Department of Children and Families, Department of Education, of course. There are programs within the Department of Commerce that were never part of our plan before, so those are all coming together in a combined plan now. And what's great about that is we're unifying around common goals. There are several goals in the plan. The one that I'll really highlight that I think is important and relevant, particularly in this current economic environment, is expanding the labor force in the state. And again, with our focus on individuals with barriers to employment, that's really what we're focused on all the time. That's really rallying all of our partners to zero in and focus on that. So that was a big lift to get that submitted this year. So we're excited about that. It's currently with U.S. Department of Labor. They are reviewing that, and we should get approval within the next 2 months. That plan. The last thing I wanted to just talk about briefly is the Credential Review Committee. This is something else that came from the REACH Act, and it is we manage the activities of the Credential Review Committee. It is chaired by Director Profit of the REACH office, and it is made up of business leaders and educational leaders in our state, and they are tasked with really developing a master credentialist. So this is done through a framework of quality that identifies credentials that lead to occupations that are considered to be high or mid-wage and have established demand in our labor market. So the idea here is that we have a list of credentials that we can all point to and say, we know that they are going to be valuable to the individuals who receive them, and they're going to lead to economic success for them if they work together with those credentials. So it is an ongoing process. We have an application that's open on our website right now. So you can apply anytime for a credential, and then they are reviewed quarterly. The Credential Review Committee will designate the master credential list that has been presented to the First Florida Board, who then presented to the State Board of Education. There's a lot of steps there, but what's great about that is there's collaboration across multiple agencies. We are also busy, with other efforts to support our partner agencies. I won't go into it, but we do have a lot of work going on and focus on apprenticeship expansion. But I will stop there and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Adrian. You have a lot going on.
We do.
Are there any questions of PerSource? Okay, then let's move to Florida Department of Commerce, Lindsay Volpe. Lindsay, do that, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, council members. It's no surprise that workforce development is one of Florida Commerce's top priorities. A robust talent pipeline is a powerful economic driver that continues to yield positive outcomes in our state. As we contemplate our focus for the upcoming year, we are, of course, working toward implementing new legislative priorities that promote cross-sector collaboration and engagement, such as the Employment First Act. Specifically, the Act recognizes the need for more robust data sharing and reporting out of the REACH office that helps inform the state's workforce partners to be even more responsive to our workforce needs. At a secondary level, the Act acknowledges the benefits of the tangible experience that comes with taking CTE courses and being involved in apprenticeship programs. The Act really helps us understand the value of what we do. And that value isn't just limited to the value of the overall program, but also each of its components. While the Act discontinues the Talent Development Council, it also demonstrates how much it served its purpose. And this evolution is truly a testament to how our workforce system is maturing and growing, even more responsive to our state's workforce needs. And as part of this system evolution, Florida Commerce continues to support the REACH Act, which serves as the blueprint for enhancing access, alignment, and accountability across the state's workforce development system. With our partners at the Department of Education, Department of Children and Families, CareerSource Florida, and the REACH office, we continue to make steady progress toward implementing a no wrong door system of delivery for job-seeking Floridians through the FL WINS program. For those that are not familiar with FL WINS, it is a program responsible for the development and implementation of the Consumer First Workforce System. This strategic alignment and coordination of education and workforce initiatives will include an online customer portal, allowing access to available state, federal, and local services and tools. FL WINS will provide Floridians with broader access to education and training options, labor market information, career planning tools, workforce training and education support, and will further enhance the work of Florida's local workforce development boards. The FL WINS program has an anticipated completion date of December 2026, and great focus will be given this year to project implementation. It's an innovative program that really aims to streamline processes to put Floridians in need on a pathway to economic self-sufficiency. I would also like to highlight the non-custodial parent employment program, another workforce program that simultaneously expands Florida's workforce and puts Floridians on a pathway to success. This is a great program that empowers job seekers to establish self-sufficiency who currently have trouble making child support payments. To promote the program and encourage its expansion statewide, last month, Florida Commerce made a request for application available for qualified entities to serve as the administrator of the funds. $500,000 is earmarked for this effort. And while it may sound like a program for a niche group of Floridians, there are plenty of programs that continue to prepare and assist job seekers with building a successful career. As CareerSource Florida President and CEO Adrienne Johnston just mentioned, Florida Commerce, continues to support CareerSource Florida and other workforce partners to annually update the master credentials list to reflect the state-approved degree and non-degree credentials that prepare Floridians for in-demand occupations. We like to brag that Florida's economy is the gold standard for the nation, and we're proud of the work we've done to expand opportunities for job seekers and job creators. This concludes my update, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Any questions? And hearing none, we're going to move to the Department of Education. We have Chancellor Hebda and Chancellor O'Farrell for the update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll go ahead and hit some good highlights I think that we have over here at the Department of Education. And really, I think it's a testimony to so many individuals who are seated at this table because the collaborative nature of these things are really what produce some of these amazing results. You know, we have a lot of tools in our toolbox, and I think a couple of them deserve some special notice and recognition for really what we've seen over the last couple of years. When you think about what we've done in the area of apprenticeship, particularly under the DeSantis administration, has been tremendous. We've seen a 45% increase in the number of registered apprentices. And we have seen a huge increase in the number of apprentice occupations, 110%. And so what you're seeing is you're seeing both the depth and the growth, the breadth of what the apprenticeship model brings to the state of Florida. You know, it is an employer-driven model, meaning that employers have the opportunity to customize the training that they need for the employee that they want. And so this has been a huge success for us. And when we think about that increase in apprenticeable occupations, I think at the Department of Education, there's a kind of an extra special notice with apprenticeship as we think about the teacher apprenticeship model that has recently been registered in the state of Florida as well. And so here, the Division of Public Schools will serve as the sponsor. Our school districts will serve as the participating employers, and this will allow for us to be able to provide paraprofessionals in the school districts with a two-year option to become a Florida certified teacher without incurring any debt. So this is a tremendous opportunity that we see as the apprenticeship model not only is driving in certain traditional industries like construction and our trades, but we see it into our healthcare, information technology, and now even into teacher apprenticeship. So we're excited about what we see in the apprenticeship model and the direction that we're taking with that as well. The second tool I kind of want to recognize, and this again, thanks to the governor and the legislature, has been the investment of $100 million into the Workforce Capitalization Incentive Grant. And this particular grant program is designed to create and expand and scale CTE coursework across the state at both the secondary and the post-secondary level. This year alone, we've been able to designate awards of $85 million. And we've had a concerted effort as we work with our partners targeting first the semiconductor advanced manufacturing sector with a huge investment there because we know that this is both a critical workforce need and industry opportunity. And believe it or not, Florida is one of the largest producers of semiconductor manufacturing in the entire country. So we want to continue to fuel that and accelerate that. We've had approximately $44 million set aside for 9th through 12th CTE programs and about $41 million for career dual enrollment on the post-secondary side that serves secondary students. And right now, as we speak, we're in the process of getting ready to release the last portion of this for programs that are going to be directed for our agriculture industry as well. So this is something that has been truly transformative, a huge investment in the infrastructure, and we're really excited to see how this is going to pay tremendous dividends for our workforce needs. Now, we talk about frameworks. I think this is a very exciting component here, is that over the last 3 years, we've had over 20 new frameworks added into our inventory. And so let me explain a little bit what that is. So all of our programs, the sub-baccalaureate level here in the state of Florida, have are entered into our frameworks inventory, which then allows any local educational agency to draw down that framework and to begin offering that program. And that program is tied to a specific occupation for training or the foundational skills necessary for continuing matriculation and study in that particular area. And so having these new 20 frameworks over the last few years has really been a partnership that the Department of Education with our industry partners have really been working on to ensure that we are training students for those occupations that are so necessary. And think about some of the degrees and areas that we've had them in: artificial intelligence, our nursing and health sciences, semiconductor manufacturing, clean room technology, data science, robotics, aluminum fabrication, advanced aerospace technology, and cloud computing. So if you think just a few years ago, we had no frameworks in those, but we have them now, and agencies are using them and drawing them down. Students are getting exposed to this and having opportunities to train for these particular occupations they're associated with. Another great tool that is in our toolbox, and we've already talked a little bit about this when Kim was giving her report on work-based learning, is our Xello system here in the state of Florida. This is our career coordination and work-based learning system. This allows students to have career exploration, to take diagnostic tests, to see where they're interested, where their interests might be, and then provide them with training opportunities or pathways to gain the credentials that they need for the occupations that they desire. And so I'm excited to share with you all today that as of today, we have nearly 2 million students, about 1.947 million students who have Xello accounts across the state of Florida. We've trained nearly 6,000 teachers and counselors on the Xello platform. And I can tell you this is an interesting data point that I just pulled yesterday. Xello also allows students to apply for the institution that they're interested in. And the top 10 institutions through which students are applying through Xello are Florida institutions. So we're excited about it. Florida colleges and Florida universities. So developing the pipeline, expanding their opportunities, and having them enroll in our outstanding award-winning, nationally ranked institutions is phenomenal. And also, which will be coming online this next year for students, will be a life simulator component. And this will allow students to be able to do career planning and to budget their finances based on a desired lifestyle or occupation they want. So everything that we're doing to provide them with the infrastructure for that career and also those budgeting principles, we're really excited about where Xello is going to take us. I'm also going to touch on what we're doing in the adult education space. Because really the adult education space, we're talking about students who are either needing adult basic general education, or they're in a high school equivalency program. But one of the tools that we have here in the state of Florida is our integrated education and training programs, our IET programs, which allows individuals who are in a GED or high school equivalency program or their NSTEM program to be co-enrolled in the CTE program at the same time. So this accelerates their ability to complete and to enter into the workforce. And we know that we need to fill many million jobs in order for us to continue to move our economy forward. And so we're excited that we have about 455 registered IEC programs in the state. And just over last year's program advancement, we've had an increase of 73% enrollment in IET programs in Florida. So this, again, is showing the value of this and where we're moving forward in our adult education space. We've also seen great and tremendous growth in how we frame and promote CTE across the state. About 4 years ago, in 2020, we started what we've known as the Get There Initiative, which is a reframing and a rebranding of what is doing technical education with website assets, tools for our partners in the field to be able to really explain the value of career and technical education. And as we did that, we began to see that we needed to begin to reach another segment of the population. We need to reach parents and school counselors to let them know. And so we were able to partner with the Florida Chamber of Commerce and also CareerSource and our Future of Work Florida initiative as well, which really is designed to help those influencers help their students make decisions. And we have parent resources and toolkits so that when moms and dads are having conversations, when grandmas and grandpas and uncles and influencers are having conversations with students, they can help map out what is the best career path for that. And then finally, we're very excited about always about our CTE enrollment numbers. You know, we've got about 800,000 students in career and technical education at secondary level, about 412,000 students at the post-secondary with nearly 20,000 apprentices and pre-apprentices for about 1.2 million students involved in career and technical education across the state. I think it's tremendous. The work that we're doing in our Florida College System Institution partners has been phenomenal. And I'll get the chance to have the highlights in that as well. Thank you very much.
But I would like to add to that, because that's such a phenomenal list from Chancellor O'Farrell and Stephen coming to them. It's not surprising with all this work that's done with them on the team. I would just add 3 areas that really demonstrate the partnerships that have been developed over the last few years with a number of these initiatives, all the ones that Chancellor O'Farrell was mentioned, and then also just a few other things. For example, the partnerships, and we have kind of a sweet spot in Florida college system between K-12 and the university system and with local businesses and industries. And so we're all about partnerships. And the Commissioner Diaz, actually convened college presidents, technical center directors, and along with school superintendents last May to focus on dual enrollment and specifically on career dual enrollment. And so from that convening, where you brought all those education leaders together last May, a number of school districts, technical centers, and college institutions spent the next 2 years actually partnering together, learning more about career dual enrollment, how can they break down barriers to students completing and so now they've redesigned their dual enrollment agreements based on that. And so that kind of partnership and that building and that expectation that we are one education system really is. I don't we've seen from the videos, you know, that's a massive catching rate. So that we really allow those partnerships for the college system institutions and technical centers and their local healthcare providers to really put those funds together and really do exponentially more things because it's a grant program. And we know those partnerships exist. We know we can't do clinical or anything else about our local business partners, but having that actual state appropriation and the state substantive law that supports that program really goes such a long way to building those partnerships and making them lasting and really making them shine. And then the third thing, I would like to, for a partnership is this, and this really put together decided the specialized AA transfer degree. So we're used to in Florida, there's a lot of good programs, nationally recognized and envy of the nation of the states that allows our students who completed AA to be accepted into at least one state university institution, guaranteed acceptance with that general AA degree. What this specialized AA transfer degree will allow is for colleges and universities to partner with a specific dual enrollment, specific articulation agreement that allows for those students to perhaps stay in that specialized AA for a few hours more to get all the prerequisites done for those major career areas like STEM fields, engineering, where you know you've got a lot of prerequisites to complete before you can transfer straight into a program. And so we know that because of that, this will allow our students not just to get the general AA and transfer into an institution, but can reach a specialized AA where there's guaranteed transfer to a program at a state university. So we are really excited about that. We have a number of institutions that are already ready to apply as soon as we can get that state. And so we have that is also another building on the existing partnership that we have, colleagues and countries and businesses that we system that that's not. And then there's therapies that we learning that I'm
Thank you both. I love the level of energy and engagement. I feel like I need to go work out or do something. It's great. Well, it's great to feel that level of energy coming out of the Department of Education and leadership team, because in other states that I've been to and I've talked to those leaders, I don't feel that level of energy. So it's exciting, and thank you for that. And talking about energy and drive, Representative Andrade, I know you're on the line, and you are a man with drive and energy, so I'd like to recognize you.
Well, thank you very much. Can everybody hear me?
Try that one more time.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, thanks y'all for letting me appear remotely from over here in Pensacola in the Panhandle. But I think for any kind of update from me as a legislator, I think you guys have done a very good job of summarizing some of the work the legislature's done the past 2 years. One thing I'm not sure was brought up yet is something that I was very proud to participate in, but Senator Broxson on the Senate side really kind of led the effort for was putting instructional staff at state colleges across the state on the same footing for their health insurance costs as instructional staff at the state university level. We've been hearing, especially from Pensacola State College, just how much of a competitive disadvantage it was that they weren't part of the Florida health insurance system. A lot of times it resulted in a loss to instructional staff who made the move from a state university to a state college. So Senator Broxson worked on getting I believe it was an $80 million recurring fund initiative passed in the budget this year to allow state college system instructional staff to be part of the Florida health insurance system, which will result in savings for those staff members, and hopefully allow Florida state colleges to recruit more aggressively and competitively and bring better instructional staff over time to their institutions.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you for your leadership, and Broxson's leadership and just the legislature. It couldn't be possible. Obviously, the governor is a key part of driving it forward, but it takes both branches to make it happen. So thank you, Representative. Okay, so we are going to move to the Florida Chamber. Mark, you are recognized.
All right, well, thanks very much. And I just want to say it's been a privilege to serve to represent the business community on this Talent Development Council. I have a lot of admiration for everybody around this table, and it's just been an honor to serve, and I look forward to working with everybody in professional capacities. I think I don't think there's anybody that's never heard of the Florida Chamber of Commerce, but just in case, we represent most all of the major employers in Florida. We have thousands of companies, small and mid-size as well. So if it had to do with building the future of the private sector, I think something we wake up every day thinking about. And I say that to say, you can imagine in my role in calls like that from corporate CEOs, from small businesses and everybody in between. The number 1, 2, and 3 call I get these days is talent. And people have more open jobs than they can find qualified people to fill them. I say that to say, one of the good honors I've had serving on this confidence to get the student, the academics and personal work that I'll do for career choice that I've had the time universities. And I don't think, whether it's known or government senate, I don't think we got they're going to use that in terms of it's but I think that a lot of people don't know the work that all of you are doing. And I had a chance to chair our national association of state chambers. And when you look at what other states are doing, they're all talking about Florida. And they're talking about how are we doing this or how are we doing that. So I think, some of my parting words would be, I think we have a giant learning gap still. Not what we all are doing behind the scenes to get the job done. But I think the truth is, if we interviewed students, middle schoolers and high schoolers and parents and guidance counselors and HR managers across Florida, and we asked them about some of the acronyms that we use, and we asked them about some of the programs that are kicking butt and taking names, they've never heard of these things before. And so it's easy for companies to get frustrated because what they see is jobs that are open that they can't find qualified people to fill. And so, Adrian, what y'all are doing at Career Source and some of the changes you're making, I think are just going to be game changing. I just want to encourage everybody that let's keep doing what we're doing, but we somehow have to get county commissions and school boards and local chambers to start talking about the importance of a job and to start putting real numbers and real data behind this, right? So, everybody knows they had something like 1.3 or 1.34 million new jobs created in Florida by 2030. And as we all sit here this morning, for I think 100 open jobs in Florida, there's only 80 people who are looking for a job. So no matter how good we are at providing the right time, there's not enough people looking to work. So as you said, Florida should be the best place on earth for people who want to work. And what we need is we need county commissions and school boards and if there is a job opportunity right here in every job. Everything that sits there with you, so that administrators understand that's not everybody else. There's an opportunity right here in Florida. I would encourage you to talk to middle schoolers and high schoolers. Many of them are under the false narrative that they have to leave Florida for great opportunity. And the truth is what we've done at Commerce, what the governor's done, we're creating, look at advanced manufacturing. Kevin, you talked about semiconductors. Orlando is a global epicenter of modeling and simulation. And we talk about people without a GED. We have close to 2 million adults without a GED. And we need to figure out a way to reach that and share what that you all are doing, because whether it's a first career or a fifth career, they've got more opportunity than people think. You have to really that better. So, what could we do to take the great work that y'all have done and every 67 county commissions and school boards at every meeting they have in they're what the local county job opportunities are over the next 5 to 7 years. I think what it would do is it would focus local media, it would focus parents, it would focus companies on what are these cool job opportunities that are right here locally. And I'll end by saying this, most states wish they had the job opportunities. So they then could figure out how to create the talent pipeline. And I think the whole country is looking at Florida going, wow, you got this talent pipeline figured out. Florida's creating 1 out of every 13 new jobs in the United States today. I'm telling you, our next big challenge is how do we get 23 million Floridians waking up every day knowing about the cool opportunities that are right here in our state. And then they're going to find out whether it's CTEs or whatever the pathways, apprenticeships right on down the line. Nobody can touch what we've got in Florida, but if the customer doesn't know it, then we're gonna be wondering 3 to 5 years from now, we've got the best in the country, we're rated number 1 or number 2 in almost everything. Good, I say that, it's been a great honor to serve with this week, and it's kind of encouraged all of us to whatever connections or influence we have. You know, why aren't 67 county commissions and school boards starting every one of their meetings off with what the job opportunities are locally? We should require that. And we should have parents and conversations about, wait a minute, I didn't know that there's 100,000 plus job opportunities, you know, in terms of income for welders and nurses and advanced manufacturing and diesel mechanics. These are awesome jobs, and Florida's got more of them than we can fill. We really need to do a better job educating people who live here on what these cool career opportunities are. That's not to take anything away from anybody at this table. Like I said, you all and the listening community appreciates it. We need your help figuring out how to get the word out, the opportunities that exist in Florida. And then I think what we're going to do is have another problem on our hand, which is the waiting list of how people can get to see all of you because they need what you got. Anyway, thank you for that. It's been a real honor to be part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And you're right. Telling the story is an ongoing challenge, especially when, to your point, there's a lot of people across the country talking. Florida is doing. That's a big differentiator for us. We're actually doing the work. So thank you. All right, next is the Council of 100. Michael, I believe you're on the Teams call with us.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the time today, and I'll be brief. And speaking on behalf of Bob Ward, who I know served on this committee for some time and loved his time serving on this committee and helping support the work. So we are thrilled to be here and look forward to working continuously with this group. But our focus is really, to your point, on identifying those key industries where we've got higher wage jobs and more resilient jobs. We're already winning in regions of the state and competing. To your point, and to Mark's point he just made, we've got tremendous opportunity, and the council's really going to be focused on talking about that opportunity, both inside and out the state. Outside of the state, we've been working closely with Commerce and Adrian and the team at CareerSource, figuring out how do we identify those high quality job pipelines that already exist here, aggregate resources around them, and start to scale that talent pipeline so that we can bring wages up in line with kind of the rate of growth that we're seeing in the state and the cost pressures that people are seeing. We don't expect the cost of living in Florida to go down. So I think everybody's goal on this call is to continue to drive those wage rates up so people can afford to stay here and live here. So we will be focused on that. Mark, to your point, talking about the great things that are going on in Florida from a business perspective will be core to what we're doing. We look forward to coming out with more of this information in the next couple of weeks around the work that we're focused on from a data perspective, and then really working with everybody on the call to help collaborate and aggregate those resources over the next several years and identify how we can best leverage our members, who again are the CEOs of the state's big employers, and how we can aggregate that network to continue to solve these tough problems around talent and scale the state. So thanks again. We're honored to be on the council and look forward to working with you all in other capacities moving forward.
Thank you, Michael. You were brief. Thank you.
You got
Next is State University System. Emily.
Thank you. It's a privilege to be here this morning on behalf of Chancellor Rodriguez. We've also just appreciated, I think, the role of this council and being part of this and having the collaboration and partnerships that have grown since the creation of this council, and then with the creation of the Reach office as well. I think you're just seeing, we're setting the national standard right now for partnering across sectors and with business and industry and with the workforce.
So I don't know if the feedback that the State University System has done in the last year related to the one person I know. I've been took a very serious look at academic program operations in the last year. We started with looking at data from Florida Commerce. So what are the critical areas in the state of Florida needs in the last 30 years? What are the jobs and what are the shortcomings and what are the gaps in the talent that we're producing our large system, that they're producing iPads, that they're producing the private schools and the colleges.
And so really the critical workforce needs
In doing that work, we have repackaged our programs of strategic emphasis, which is our way of saying, these are the academic programs at the bachelor's level, the master's level, the doctoral level that are of critical importance for the state of Florida for the next 8 years. Our board went through that process. It was a very data-driven process. We looked at job opportunities for our graduates to go into, where they'd be making wages, high wages, also labor need. We saw programs like the accounting, teaching, engineering, IT. And so we identified those three academic programs to align those workforce needs. I would approve that list in November of last year. And that list now will go into our university performance-based funding in the next year. And so our universities now will be focused on those programs because they will get performance-based funding based on two metrics related to those programs. There's a lot of work and it was a lot of, again, collaboration with cross systems with Florida Commerce, looking at the data that we were looking at, but also working with the Florida Chamber and the Florida Council 100. They also got to take a look at the data and what we were doing. So that was one of the key initiatives I wanted to mention, but I also wanted to highlight that we also in the last year have updated our My Florida Future tool, which is our tool that looks at where our graduates go and how much they earn based on their degree. And it's a tool that we are hoping that can bleed over to like the K-12 side, where if students are thinking about what they want to do next and trying to figure out where they want to go, if they want to go to a university or Florida college or into a technical education program. So we can use this tool and look at what degrees the state university system offers and what are the outcomes of those degrees. And so what are students in those fields making 1 year, 5 years, 10 years after graduation in Florida. And so that's a tool that we're really proud of. And it's a tool that I use a lot too. And I'm looking up for that just because it's something that's readily available and so it's tough to. Also wanted to just add, I know that I've put under a lot of the notion of code has been a bit keeping me off and I've been experienced in the last couple of years. And we've just been so appreciative for the legislature and the governor with the lines and pipeline funding. And that the same just tremendous return on investment in those funds. But the line funding was in the universities, other than the hospitals in the area. And so we're really working on developing the so that's I've been in the pipeline to the hospitals and the organizations in the really those advancements that they've done pretty soon so awesome and it's programs at least last 10 years, which is something that's phenomenal. So it's good, it's working, it's working, it's just been very appreciative of not coming.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Board of Governors, Ashley, I want to give you the opportunity if you're on the call. You don't have to give an update, but I want to give you the floor if you want it.
Yes, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this board. I am a newbie on Board of Governors, but I echo the things that were spoke about, we had Amazon come in on our one of our first meetings at Florida State, just talking about we need the curriculum developed faster. And how do we articulate that curriculum? Looking at K-12 and CETE, like you said, we have to get in front of the ball. It's the chicken or the egg, but industry they're ready. And then we need to act faster on our feet to be able to get these accredited programs rolled out. And I think that's something that the Board of Governors is definitely focused on. And I definitely, just being in workforce for so long, having career academies, having options, and like you saying, having co-ops of our local and state government working within the school district, and then articulating that into our local state colleges and universities so that the student has a full articulated path with accreditation offers. So that's one thing that we definitely have eyes on. Like I said, when Amazon came to present, that was eye-opening because they also were touting that they were reimbursing degrees. It didn't have to be in a specific it didn't have to be in a specific degree area. They were reimbursing for any degree areas, if it was nursing to construction to whatever it may be, and they were reimbursing upfront. So that was really promising, but it also stressed the need of, we need a stronger workforce, and we really need to be working in co-collaboration on what is coming up in the next 5 to 10 years, and making sure that we are working tightly within the system to garner the skills that are going to be available. And I forgot whose comment it was back, but talking about rural communities and access, that's a huge thing, especially in the central part of our region. And we look at the coastal lines, and it's pretty accessible to get to some of these colleges, but in our Central Florida and Panhandle, just looking at different ways and options that are available, and how to get students enrolled quickly and be able to take accredited classes and continue their education throughout to make sure they're certified. And just a little keynote on my behalf is working on those soft skills. I know that there are plenty of different agencies out there that are coming up with soft skill badges, and making sure that that's included in your online resume. And that's another thing that we need to keep an eye on. It is about the skill set, but we also need to be making sure that our students are equipped with working with people and being able to satisfy the role of the HR component as well. So our last 2 meetings with the Board of Governors has been very focused on that. We're all, like I said, in support of making this happen through the university system, and appreciate all your co-collaboration in moving this forward. So thank you so much.
Excellent, thank you. So next is independent colleges and universities, Bob. And I will say this, many moons ago, I was a recipient of an ICUF scholarship, so I'm a product of that. Thank you very much.
Great, good to hear. Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm also honored to serve on this panel, and glad that the independent sector was included when this was formed. It's kind of sad to see it being disbanded, but I know the Reach Office is going to continue the momentum, so we look forward to working with you all. Let me just talk about 6 quick things. I'm going to be real brief. The first is EASE, as you were a recipient of, I believe, but effective access to student education is the higher ed voucher in Florida for Florida residents. One of the things that one of the Speaker Renner's priorities this past session was to create EASE Plus. And EASE Plus was an incentive on top of EASE to increase high demand workforce degrees in 6 areas. And that was in teaching, nursing, allied health, agricultural, cadet science, cybersecurity, digital arts, and computer graphics. And did that about $10 million in that. So students that are in those high demand degrees are getting an incentive on top of these. I think it's a fantastic program to increase the workforce and the workforce production that ICUF creates. Next session, we're going to try to expand it. We're already talking about engineering, fintech, aviation, and advanced manufacturing. So we're going to continue to try to push EASE Plus to these increase. The other thing, and I think everybody's mentioned that the line funding has been fantastic for the production of nurses in Florida. ICUF schools, and by the way, just to back up, ICUF is the 4-year not-for-profit sector, 175,000 students. We have 37 sites throughout Florida, but we produce about 25% of all the nursing degrees in Florida. The line funding, having 19 million, really allowed us to partner with our local hospitals. All of the ICUF schools that applied for funding in the last funding cycle were approved, and it's just been tremendous. So we're working with HCA and Advent Health. It was a great program, and I hope we can continue it. We did, by the way, add an ICUF institution just recently. It's Herzing University, which is a nonprofit nursing school in Orlando and Tampa. So we're even producing more nursing graduates through ICUF. Hopefully we can continue to push up EASE and increase the funding. It facilitates the production of many workforce degrees, including teaching, Again, ICAP produces about 25% of all the teachers in Florida. So that's something we're going to continue to work on. The last few things I'd mention is the ICAP economists, we're going to do and it's coming out this fall, an ICAP labor market gap analysis. And it's going to be a statewide gap analysis and also regional. So we can see in Florida what the degrees are, what the market wants for degrees in a certain area. And then ICAP can partner with everybody here to figure out how to produce those degrees. So I'm going to share that with everybody when it comes out in the fall, but we're really excited about that. And the last thing I'd say is about 3 years ago, but we've polished it since then. ICAP created a dashboard. It's ICAP.org. And on the dashboard is all of ICAP's programs, all 5,000 plus of them, and the projected earnings for 1, 5, and 10 years for prospective students and their families. So it's been a really good tool to see for students that, and you can narrow it down to regions. If you want to go to school in the Southwest Florida, you can see what programs are offered, what the projected earnings are, and it's been used and praised by some of our families that are thinking of this meeting. So we're going to continue to enhance that as well as release our ICAP labor market gap analysis. So we're excited about that. But again, I really appreciate everybody working with our sector, and I hope that continues in the future. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Next is the Florida Association of Post-Secondary Schools and Colleges. Alan.
And check to make sure it's still morning.
Yeah.
And I will try to be brief as well so that it continues to be morning.
Love it.
My name is Alan Worth. I'm the executive director of the Florida Association of Post-Secondary Schools and Colleges. And on behalf of our president, thank you for the opportunity to participate. We've been on an iteration of this. I'll say going back at least to the head. And there's about 2 or 3 more of us that have been on here that long. So it has been a while, and it will be bittersweet. But again, I'm updating the staff and the reach office will give the fantastic job of ensuring that the goals of the council continue on, even if we may not officially exist anymore. With that said, I think that our schools a little bit different than those of the other ones represented here. We talked about this before. Many of our students tend to be adult learners looking for an alternative form of education. We do. I feel like it is a good job of educating that sector. It is a bit more challenging, given with students that, maybe having to work 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day before, going off to, take a nursing class in the evening. Again, nursing is one of those professions that it's hard enough to get good, even if you're doing it from 9 to 5. Not even to 12, not even certainly a lot more time. You looked at the nursing report a little bit earlier. One of the things that I think was a good highlight is that, clearly the demand is there. And you'll see that, through that report that our schools do have an upward graphic for what's available for the nurses that we're producing. And I do think that with some of the new legislation, the past couple of years, the actual graduate rate and the NCLEX passing rate is certainly going to improve in our sector, and hopefully that will bolster the overall NCLEX passage rate for Florida, because our schools have such a large percentage of the graduation rate. Again, I went to Florida State University, but I always kind of use them as a bit of an example, but, you know, when they're producing, you know, several hundred nurses and they're doing even more every year, but our sector is producing several thousand, their passage rate being 90%, 95%, sometimes 97, 98%, it's a little bit overshadowed by the fact that, you know, they have a smaller number of testers. So as our numbers go up, hopefully the, you know, the numbers for Florida will. Finally, I would like to thank the Commission for Independent Education, Executive Director Tiffany Hurst, Chairman Trey Williams. They have done a fantastic job. They're probably one of the smaller groups from within the big building over there at the Department of Education, but they do a fantastic job. And of 890, I think the last time I checked or so, schools that they regulate, it could certainly be daunting. So thank you to them. Thank you to you know, the governor and the legislature for the opportunity to serve, and hopefully I was quick enough.
It's still the morning, so you're good. Okay, thank you for that. I would be remiss not to mention Senator Simon and Monicia Brown with the Board of Education, although were not able to be with us today. Thank you for their contributions. So
Senator Simon is here by proxy. My name is Devnik Taylor. I work for his office, and so I've been here listening and taking notes.
Okay, can you announce yourself one more time so we can get you on the mic?
This is Devnik Taylor from Senator Simon's office.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Do you have anything to say, or?
The only thing I have to say is it's very nice to hear how much CT is growing in our state. And, you know, Senator Simon, CT is near and dear to his heart. So I'm sure he'll be happy to hear the amazing work that we've done, or you guys have done, sorry.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So I just want to say, I know we went through everyone, gave everyone an opportunity to speak, and I think that was important because it really highlights all the good work that everyone is doing, right? And part of the point of this council was to coordinate and get everyone on the same page to make sure that we see we're all pulling in the same direction. And I've heard a couple of times comments about it's going away or, you know, sunsetting. And I think a better way to look at it as a transition. Everything evolves, right? Education is evolving. And Florida is at the tip of the spear of an evolving education system, and we're leading the way for the country. And as such, this council is evolving into the next iteration of what it should be, as by the legislature's vote, we have House Bill 917 that transitions it to the Reach Office. So on that point, and I had previously mentioned it in my talking points, I'm going to share with you a little bit, just to highlight for the record, what 917, House Bill 917 is actually directing to do. So just bear with me. It's a little bit of a read. I took a swig of water, so I should be good. So I want to finish by discussing the career and technical education mapping for secondary education. So House Bill 917 requires the Reach Office to coordinate with the Department of Education, the Department of Commerce, and CareerSource Florida to publish and disseminate by March 1, 2025, a statewide asset map of career and technical education to inform workforce and industry partners of opportunities to partner and expand career and technical education in the state. The information must be disseminated in a user-friendly format and these are the 5 key criteria that I want everyone to take away from this discussion. Number 1, list secondary career and technical education courses offered by each school district in the state, categorized by career cluster, school, grade level, and the number of students enrolled. Number 2, identify the total amount of funding provided for the secondary career and technical education programs offered by each school district in the state. Number 3, compare existing secondary career and technical education program offerings, funding, and outcomes, including credential attainment, to data on in-demand careers and the state's economic needs to identify industry opportunities in which increased program offerings would support state and local needs. Number 4, compare alignment and funding of existing secondary career and technical education program offerings and outcomes, including credential attainment, to data on-demand careers and the state's economic needs to identify opportunities to better align funding of programs to industry demand and statewide economic needs. Funding alignment may consider the use of virtual reality and other workforce education technologies for secondary career and technical education program offerings and outcomes, including credential attainment. And number 5, list career dual enrollment programs offered in each school district in the state categorized by program type, offering location, and the number of students enrolled. The list must indicate the credential earned upon completion of the program, and if the credential is part of a sequence as identified by the Credentials Review Committee. And I think if I said career and technical education enough times, it would start sounding strange. I didn't say CTE because I'm watching our AI-driven note taker, and it doesn't always get CT right because somebody said something and it thought it said Massachusetts, and I'm quite sure no one said Massachusetts in the meeting until I just did it. So, all right. Again, there is a lot going on. There are a lot of people working really hard to advance the state to make sure that education is nested well with industry so that our economy moves forward and people have meaningful jobs. So the takeaway from, yes, this is likely the last Talent Development Council meeting, but there's a lot of work to be done and the work will continue. As emphasized in here, many of you are doing that. The fact that the nation is continuing to the governor's reach office, and you know it's going to happen next, right? So it is an adventure, and there's always opportunities for us to come back together again. So initiatives and the work continues. So now I would like to move into public testimony. Is there any members of the public who would like to speak? Is anyone on the phone? Okay. Hearing none, I'd like to open up the floor for additional comments from any of the council members. Does anyone have any last words, so to speak? Sounded very ominous, didn't it? All right. Well, as this is the last meeting of the Florida Talent Development Council, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank everyone for your hard work, for your dedication, for all the different iterations of bringing these bodies together to make sure they're working simultaneously, concurrently. And I would like to thank the governor for putting his trust in me, for chairing this meeting to focus on the transition to what this will become in its next iteration. So thank you. The team is going to hand out certificates of appreciation to the designees on the council. So you'll get that at the end of the meeting to just remind you of your service and to thank you for that. So before we adjourn, I would like to thank the staff. The staff has done such an incredible job of pulling this all together. Miranda, you've been incredible, and Molly, who's not here right now, and Kim, just the people behind the scenes who make this work. The Reach Office Director, Crowfoot, you have just been amazing and patient with me along the way, and so I thank you for that. And the staff of Florida Commerce, and likely the staff of Education, who probably put that infographic together, because I remember that from my days in the governor's office. They were the ones who put the fantastic infographics together. But thank you to everyone. Is there any other business of the council that needs to be discussed before we adjourn for one final time? Okay, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.